I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna pause every now and then and see how the interaction is going. All right. So the topic today is visualizing intelligence. So it's about how to craft powerful BI dashboards using Outsystems, but also, of course, extending the Outsystems platform with some tools. And I'd like to start with a teasing question. I'd like to ask you guys to type in the chat. Why do you think we build apps? Why is it that we build apps? I'm pretty sure the audience will have different reasons, different objectives, and depending on the background, whether technical or business, there's going to be plenty of different reasons why we build apps. And I would like to provoke this first reflection. I'm going to review the chat. If you guys post any opinion. In the meantime, while you think about it, let me carry on. And I would like to share one of the key reasons why we build apps. And it's not the only one, of course. But one of the key reasons why we build apps is to provide data or information to the business, right? The key objective of application is to provide business users to input or capture data so that it can then be processed and turned into information to assist in decision-driven, in data-driven decisions. So in other terms, we want to provide a systematic way for the business to make decisions. In this systematic way is what we now call analytics. This is a term that has been coined a while ago, of course, it's nothing new. But analytics is all about how you can go about processing data that is inputted by business users and transformed into insights or useful, meaningful information for business decisions. So I prepared a quick chart here telling the story of a day in the life of the data. And from the day one, when it's entered in applications, in systems, it's normally unorganized or it's all normally distributed. It normally makes sense from an app perspective. But imagine that in an enterprise level, you might have multiple different apps serving different purposes. But when it comes to business decisions, this data needs to be merged or aggregated or calculated. And the process which we can use to go about this is what's known as analytics. Analytics is the process of analyzing data in its raw state, transforming the data, and turning it into information. All right, so during the process of analytics, you reorganize the data, you transform the data in a way that the business can interpret as information and make informed decisions. A good example of a dashboard, which is the end result of an analytics process, is what I'm sharing right now. So the example you're seeing on the screen is a dashboard created with Microsoft Power BI. This is just a quick example that we created a while back, by the way, in another Outsystems user group event. And we created this Power BI dashboard on top of a sample application, an Outsystems application that's actually available in the Outsystems Forge. It's the order management application. You're going to see that we're going to use this application in the demo over the next few slides as well. And just for context, the order management application is a mini CRM kind of app that will allow salespeople and other business users to register sales orders, manage product catalogs, manage client accounts, manage opportunities, track the sales order statuses along its life cycle, In this dashboard, we're creating some visual representation for data. Let me just zoom in so you guys can see it better. So some of the interesting indicators we can see in the screen here are, for example, at the top left corner, you see the amount of orders sitting in draft, right? So these orders have been placed, but they haven't been approved yet. We have a $3,600 worth of orders in negotiation. So it's a specific status in the order life cycle. We have 14 new accounts over the last 30 days. We have 5 orders waiting for approval. We have one of the most popular products, which means the most sold product. And then a few charts. In the second row, you can see the total opportunities per country and per opportunity stage. So that's a stacked bar chart that groups 2 different dimensions, country and opportunity stage. You also see the opportunities per type in the last 30 days and also customer value. So these are visual representation and also some tabula for some classification or ranking kind of analysis. You can see the top 10 opportunities at the bottom left, and then the latest created orders. So the most recent orders. This is all created in a visual tool. No need for coding. Microsoft Power BI is a very powerful low-code tool when it comes to creating charts and dashboards. And it pretty much works with drag and drop. So for the ones who haven't worked with Power BI, this is a highly recommended tool to be considered when it comes to reporting and dashboarding projects. Of course, there's licensing conventions. Sometimes the companies, the customers are not Microsoft shops. They're not Microsoft users. They prefer other kind of platforms or cloud platforms. But very similar to Microsoft Power BI, there's plenty of other tools that help visualize data. Like, for example, the AWS OpenSite or Tableau or even Excel. You can build dashboards with similar functionalities as in Power BI, of course, more limited, but you can also build dashboards in Excel. These are all very powerful tools. But now you might be asking, how can we go about having the Outsystems data available so that Power BI can connect to it and business analysts or business intelligence analysts can build their dashboards, or even business users can build their own dashboards. And after implementing a few analytics and reporting solutions in the past and using different approaches, different kinds of solutions, we assessed what would be the optimal, the best approach that would rely less on development lifecycle, that would deliver faster solutions, and on top of everything, that would give the business the flexibility they need to explore data. We didn't want to, and that's something, believe me, we did a lot of times before, but we didn't want to keep falling in the challenge where we build a dashboard, we build a report, an Excel extract, for example, which is fairly simple to build in Outsystems, with sometimes a complex query in the background, and deliver the report to the business, and then the business come to us and say, hey, I have a new requirement. I need a couple more fields in this report. And then it would go back to the backlog, and the business would need to wait for that backlog item to be prioritized. So we thought of a way to go about it, and we came up with actually we didn't come up with, but we got inspiration from the market in a concept that's quite used in the market called connector. It's about creating easy connectors that can speed up and automate the process to get data available. We got inspiration in platforms in the market like MuleSoft, For the ones who didn't work with MuleSoft, MuleSoft is an API gateway, and it works on top of the concept of connectors. They have hundreds of connectors. These ones I'm showing on the screen are just the most popular ones, but they have hundreds of pre-built connectors. With these pre-built connectors, you can create APIs in MuleSoft to, for example, connect to Jira or Box or Slack or Asana with very minimum effort. You can pretty much drag and drop and configure the settings you need to connect to those platforms. And then the interaction with those platforms APIs is fairly speeded up. So that's an interesting concept. Another concept that inspired us in seeking a different and better solution was the Microsoft Dataverse. Microsoft Dataverse is a platform provided by Microsoft, and the purpose is to consolidate all the data sitting on their business solutions, Office 365, Microsoft Dynamics, AX, and CRM, the health solutions, all the business apps available in the Microsoft ecosystem. They centralize all their data in this consolidated API gateway called Microsoft Dataverse. And for other solutions to connect to it, it's fairly simple. You wouldn't need to build APIs from scratch or have server-side APIs being built and going through the development lifecycle. Through Microsoft Dataverse, just as a quick example, quick reference, you can, for example, connect Microsoft Power Apps, which is the Microsoft no-code tool. You can easily connect it to an Outlook.com database. So, and that's done through configuration pretty much. Very few lines of code or coding interaction are needed. Another good example is Dynatrace. Dynatrace is another vendor in the market. They're specialized in monitoring, in web and mobile application monitoring. They are one of the Outsystems partners when it comes to monitoring applications. And they also leverage the concept of connectors. They have what they call the Software Intelligence Hub, where you can easily tap into their database, their connectors catalog, and easily have them available in your cloud environment and just set them up. And then you have a comprehensive and normally very complex API with no code, with no need for coding or very accelerated process. And then another relevant experience I had in the past was in integrating Outsystems and SAP. I needed to implement numerous Outsystems applications that would serve as front-end applications because Outsystems has a much better UI and front-end capabilities if compared to platforms like SAP, Oracle. So it's quite common to see Outsystems applications serving the front end, serving the users with nice front end with a good user experience, but having the back end relying on SAP data. And there's multiple ways you can go about it. You can implement integrations with SAP using at least 3 different technologies. But and I had experience with all of them. But the best experience I've ever had with integrating with SAP was when we used their OData connector. SAP has their data gateway, which is a way to centralize data exposure. So they have in one only endpoint all the data available. This is to provide businesses with enterprise-grade governance, so they can manage permissions, authorization, they can segregate APIs, they can organize their assets in a way that's adherent to enterprise-grade requirements. And they use a standard protocol, the OData protocol. I'm going to discuss a bit more details about the OData protocol in a second. And Another purpose that the SAP Data Gateway can be used for is for analytics. I normally use it for interoperability, so having OutSystems applications consuming data from SAP, but also we have been using it for analytics. So you can connect tools like Power BI to the SAP OData APIs and have the SAP data available for dashboarding and reporting. And then, of course, we come to our own OutSystems Forge. Our OutSystems Forge it uses a very similar concept as the other repositories I just shared, like the Microsoft Dataverse, the MuleSoft components catalog. The OutSystems Forge is based on the community's contribution. I'm pretty sure that at least half of you guys here have contributed to components to the OutSystems Forge. I have been a big contributor myself, so I have a lot of components sitting on Forge that I've.
Uh, Joe, sorry, you have gone on mute.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Am I back?
Yes, you are.
Oh, I just wonder how long have I been on mute?
No, it's just for 30 seconds. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Um, all right. So I assume you guys heard well what I shared about SAP Data Gateway.
Yeah, that was done. And when you started with OutSystems Forge.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sri. All right. So back to the OutSystems Forge. That's our own component repository. I'm pretty sure that half of you guys have contributed to components. I've built a lot of components myself along my experience with OutSystems. But now, when it comes to connectors, um, it's not as comprehensive as the other platforms in the market, as most of the components are based on OutSystems consuming data from external platforms. So it's about OutSystems Facebook, consuming Facebook to allow users to log in through Facebook. It's about consuming Twitter to leverage the Twitter API to grab data from Twitter. It's about UiPath to have OutSystems leveraging the RPA, the automation provided by UiPath. Um, but in our research, there's not many, actually, there's no component that speeds up the exposure of data sitting in OutSystems applications. And that's basically because there's a lot of projects, a lot of OutSystems applications that are really about consuming data from external platforms. But over the last years, OutSystems has become a very, very robust and reliable platform. And a lot more customers are relying on OutSystems to have their mission critical applications with the data sitting in the OutSystems database. So there's been an increasing need to have the OutSystems data exposed for interoperability scenarios or analytics, dashboarding, and reporting. So in our research, there's not enough components in the OutSystems Forge that help improve this experience. And that's why we came up with a solution that I'm going to detail in a few minutes. But before we get there, I'd like to discuss briefly what it takes to have BI on top of OutSystems. Um, this is one of the approaches. That's the approach that offers clients the best governance because it's based on API development. So when it comes to providing reports and dashboards for business intelligence, you normally need to go through a requirements gathering stage where you understand the indicators, where you understand the concepts that the business wants to analyze on. You come up with a solution design. You need to address non-functional requirements like performance, scalability, maintainability. You also need to define standards and protocols to use, because depending on the tool you use on the other side, you need to tweak the technology. You need to understand what strategy to use to expose APIs, and then you end up in a development life cycle. So you build the APIs, you need to test them, you need to UAT, you need to have the business testing the testing and accepting the data provided by the APIs, and then you have visual reports on the other side. So this is an API-based BI approach. Of course, there's numerous other approaches, but this is what myself and my team have been recommending whenever we need to design the reporting solution. It's based on API because it provides security, it provides scalability, it provides governance. The thing is, this has shown a bit limited, and because it creates an effect. It has a drawback in terms of speed. You don't deliver the solution as quick as the business needs. And I'm gonna do a demo now of the solution we came up with, and then we're gonna get back to these concepts and understand the differences between the current, the normal, the regular experience, and the experience with the solution we came up with. Just for context, in the demo, I'm going to use the order management solution. This is the solution I mentioned in one of the first slides. It has a built-in kind of dashboard, but it's pretty much based built-in Outsystems. It's using the Outsystems charts. It's pretty much a web screen, and it's a quick dashboard for quick data visualization. But consider that any changes to this dashboard need to go through development lifecycle. And just for more context, this is a transactional screen. This is just the list of orders. And for awareness, these are the statuses. So when a sales representative creates an order, the order goes through these statuses. It's created as draft, then submitted, and then approved. So this is just a dashboard with the list of orders. And for reference, this is a dashboard that's possible to be created with the solution I'm about to demonstrate. So let me go to the demo. I hope you guys can hear me well and it's all good. All right,
Yes.
so, okay, thank you so much. All right, so let's jump to the demo. First, I would like to start with the solution I referred to. The solution is Hubway Connect. Hubway is a web application. It's an Outsystems app that was built to provide a no-code way of creating APIs in Outsystems. I'm going to demonstrate how to create an API, and then I'm going to delve deep into the details and all the technical aspects. So for the demonstration, let me create an API from scratch. I'm going to create this API is Osug Bangalore. You're going to see that there's a few functionalities here. Consider that I am a business analyst or BI person, or even an IT manager or tech lead. And I'm creating the API, giving it meaningful names. There's a few advanced capabilities I'm going to show in a second. And then I want to expose data from the order management modules. What you're seeing here in this left pane is entities, Outsystems tables, coming straight from the Outsystems metadata. And they belong to the order management application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these basic entities here, just the order item, order status, and product. With these four entities, I can already build some reports. and I'm going to show you how we can build it in Power BI. So let me head back to the overview tab. You can see that how we created a URL for the API. This is the test link. I'm just going to copy the URL, and I'm going to head over to Power BI. I hope you guys can see a dashboard on my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so the dashboard you've seen is just an example of a pre-built dashboard. So I built this totally based on the OData APIs exposed through Huawei. And one of the coolest features I see in Power BI is the interaction, because as you interact with the charts, all the other charts update automatically. So if I want to see data just for one specific country, I click on the country and all the other charts are updated. So that's one of the coolest features in Power BI. But all right, this is a pre-built dashboard. How can we create a new dashboard starting from scratch? So let me start with a blank Power BI project. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use a connector provided by all the Microsoft's tools for OData APIs. It's the OData feed, and it's pretty much based on API consumption. So you just provide it with a URL for an OData API. And again, I'm gonna delve into details on what OData really is in a minute. I paste the URL of the API in Power BI, and in this case, Power BI has my credentials saved already, but the API is protected with username and password. And what Power BI was able to do was it introspected the structure of the API and brought all the tables I just exposed in the API and all the attributes and data types. So remember, I just exposed 4 tables: order, order item, order status, and product. So now all these tables are available in Power BI. Now Power BI is retrieving the data from the APIs. It's automatically bringing the data to its internal cache. And now the data is available in Power BI to be used in dashboarding. All right. So I created it on a way that the relationships are not rebuilt. So see this as a copy or a replication or a synchronization of all the entities exposed in the API into Power BI's cache. The big advantage of that is that when business creates reporting or dashboards, Power BI doesn't need to go to reach to the runtime environment, and it doesn't impact the production runtime applications. Let me jump to another project I had pre-built where I rebuilt the relationships. So this is what you can do in Power BI. And it's fairly simple. You're going to see that it's pretty much drag and drop. So for example, if I want to rebuild the relationship between status and order, just drop the attribute on top of its foreign key. And that's it. The relationship is done. And now consider that I'm a business user and I want to explore the data sitting in my database. So with no need to wait for a backlog item to be prioritized or anything. If I want to see, for example, the products that sold the most, so I just drag the name of the product to the legend and then go to the order item quantity attribute to the values. And now I have a pie chart with the most sold products. I can even filter this to have the top 10, top 6 products over quantity. And there you go. So now I have the 6 products that sold the most. All right. We can also see, we can also have different visual representations for data. So for example, if I want to have a big number in my chart with the total amount, that's how I can go about it. So we have 46,000 worth of sales orders in the system. And we can even have tables. So if we want to, for example, display here the name of the product and the total in sales and the quantity. So I might be missing something on the total amount. Total amount is in the order. So I can see the list of products per quantity. So the products that sold the most as well in a different view. So on the left-hand side, I have a pie chart, and on the right-hand side, I have a table. So see how easy it is for business users to explore the data. They drag and drop the fields, the attributes they want to explore, and it's all done in a few clicks. Another interesting one is if I want to, for example, let me see if I can build a bar chart with the accounts. And total amount. There you go. So very quickly, I see the companies or the accounts with the total in sales order, in total in revenue. So this is my revenue per client kind of chart. Okay. This is how you can quickly connect Power BI to Outsystems apps using the OData standards, the OData protocol. Now, let me go back to the presentation and show a bit. Let me give it a pause and see if if you guys have any questions.
We have a
Yeah, there's a
question from
question
Vijay.
from Vijay. Can we execute raw queries in it? Yes, I'm gonna show you how. But before I get there, let me show you how you can build queries and what's the protocol that we used. Please raise your hand or type in the chat if you've ever worked with OData before, with the OData protocol. Who here has ever heard about the OData protocol? Apparently, it's brand new in the audience. That's okay. That's quite common. So the OData protocol is a standard. It's a communication standard created by Microsoft over 15 years ago, and it's now an open standard. It's been adopted massively by Microsoft, of course. So all the Microsoft ecosystem solutions adopt OData by default. And a lot of other key players in the market have been adopted the same standard. So as you know, SAP adopts OData. Outsystems has just released a connector for the SAP OData, but that is for Outsystems to consume the SAP OData information. Oracle adopts OData, Adobe adopts OData. What I'm showing right now is the website, the official website, where you can find all sorts of resources, including companies who have adopted libraries to handle OData and tutorials. There's a comprehensive number of tutorials here that will help you interact with OData APIs. Now, what is OData in the end of the day, right? I believe you guys are curious to understand what it is and how to interact with it. OData is pretty much representational protocol. So what I mean by representation is it's a way to represent data. By default, as a standard use of OData, it uses JSON output. And as part of its representational model, it uses commands or what is called in the OData world query options that can be added or appended to the URL in order for you to interact with data, to query data. I'm going to show a few examples here using Postman on how you can go about interacting with data. But in this case, in this very simple example here, the URL is just root/people. And what it does is it's bringing the list of people records, and it's automatically linking to its foreign tables. It's linking to its association. So one person record has a list of emails, has a list of address info, and inside address info, there's a city, which is another entity related to address info. So it's actually joining or associating data and providing that in the output as a hierarchical structure.
Sorry, sorry, João.
Yes.
So it would be better if you could zoom in a bit.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Let me see if this screen is better.
Yes.
Can you see it better?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just an example provided in the website. This is how you would retrieve a list of people, and the output is pretty much a JSON output. So each record in this output is a person record, and then within the person record, there's hierarchical relationships. So you can associate records to it. It's quite valuable for integrations or interoperability requirements. And then in the documentation, you can find a comprehensive documentation on how to query data, how to manipulate data in the output. So for example, one of the query options I'm going to demonstrate in a second is the filter option. But there's plenty of options to interact with data. Pretty much everything you can do with a SQL statement, you can do with OData through a REST API. Okay, so in this example, it's using order by. In this example, it's paginating records using top and skip. Let me jump straight to a demo I have here on Postman. I hope you guys can see Postman well on my screen.
Yes.
And for the ones that have never worked with Postman, Postman is a testing tool. It's used to test APIs. And the way it works is quite simple. It's fairly simple. So you put the API URL at the top. You specify how you want to interact with the URL. In this case, I'm going to demonstrate GET scenarios. And the output you can see here at the bottom. So the first way of interacting with full data APIs I want to demonstrate is the root URL. The root URL will give you back an automatic documentation. This documentation is generated automatically. What you see here is the list of entities exposed in the API. So all these entities come from the order management application, same one I just demonstrated. It's just that this one was pre-built with more entities, but you can see the ones I just used in the demo, in the project I just created. All the other items, status, and product. So this is the list of entities. You can have a quick understanding of the entities exposed in this API. And then there's another interesting feature provided by OData out of the box, which is the metadata documentation. This is what tools like Power BI, for example, uses to introspect the structure of the API. So that's how it knows all the entities exposed, all the attributes under the account entity, for example, and their data types. This is all automatically generated, and it also has the context of association. So these navigation properties here are the link between, for example, between the account entity and the country entity. This is how OData knows that account and country have a relationship. Okay. So these two links I just demonstrated are documentations. They are used for tools to automate the integration with OData. The next one here is a way you can interact with data. This is a way you can retrieve or query the data sitting on the OData API. In this case, I'm doing a simple list. I'm just listing all the records in the order table, which in my sample database, it's a fairly small table, so I have no issues in getting all the records in the API. But of course, if you're dealing with a large table, and you don't want that the consumer app gets all the data in a row, you want them to paginate or get, for example, 10 records at a time, you can use these two query options. OData works with these query options concept, which always start with a $sign, and you can combine multiple of them. So in this case, I'm getting the top 10 records and skipping the first 10. So in other terms, I am on the page 2 of my paginated list. Okay. And then I'm getting 10 records in the output. This can easily be connected to an application, even using Outsystems. There's components on Forge to handle OData APIs. By the way, I built one of the components sitting on Forge at the moment that handle OData APIs. And it can easily connect to OData and leverage all these statements to be added to the URL. Another powerful mechanism in OData is the filter mechanism. So we can use the filter query option, $filter, specify the field, and then use operators, which use an OData syntax. In this case, I'm using EQ, which means equals. So I'm filtering all the orders whose status is equals to 3. Okay. So all these orders have the status 3. And of course, this is a very simple way of filtering, but I'm going to show you how you can do it in a more advanced style. And then this is the list with association. So in this case, I'm getting the list of orders and expanding with their statuses. So for each order record, I have a child node, which is the order status record. So this order is at the status 4 in draft. Okay. And then we can also combine multiple different query options. In this case, I'm combining expanding with the order status and also filtering by the order status ID. So imagine that you're in your consumer application, you have a drop down, for example, with the list of statuses. And the moment you switch the order status in the drop down, you want to list the order sitting in that specific status. You just need to assemble this URL, and you'll get all the orders sitting on the status tree on the submitted status. And we can also use nested association. So we can use the expand query option with as many tables as we want, given that they have relationship in the database. And then for one of the expansions, one of the associations, I want to expand it even further to its own association. So I'm creating a nested effect here. In the order records, I have the linked account, and then for the account, I have the linked country. That's a way you can join multiple tables in the same request, in the same API. Okay. And then last but not least, this is a scenario commonly used in analytics, in data staging or reporting, when you're dealing with large amounts of data and you don't want Power BI to be retrieving all the data from the database. So consider this to be used in scenarios where you need to deal with hundreds of thousands of records or millions of records in a table. So it's normally recommended to have a staging mechanism. Even Power BI has its own staging mechanisms where you can set up a delta sync or incremental load, where it's only going to get the records created or updated after the last sync. And this is how you could retrieve the data from the OData API. In this case, I'm using the filter query option again, and I'm filtering on the created on field which is greater than the year 2000, 1st of January 2000, and it's lesser than 2023. So I'm using a very comprehensive range here, of course, because I'm dealing with sample data. But this can be automated by tools like Power BI, Microsoft Data Mart. There's a lot of interesting ETL and data staging tools that can handle the incremental loading of data. And this is how you can use all data to reduce the chunks of data that are synced and make sure it doesn't bring any impact to the runtime applications. So these are some examples of how you can query the data using DO data capabilities. And apart from that, look, everything we did was on top of the Hubway APIs. Hubway created DO data API automatically. I just used the link it generated here. Just to show you how you could easily as well test it on the browser. What I did was I just clicked on the URL, it opened for me in a new tab. And if I want to interact with data, I just append the name of the entity to the URL. And I can interact with data just as I just did with Postman. Another set of interesting capabilities in Hubway is it has a built-in version management control. So in this case, I just created a draft version. It's sitting on the draft version 1. And when you look at the URL, you see that we're using a draft version 1 of the OSUG Bangalore project. So this is to help IT admins manage whenever there's changes necessary in the API, they can create a new draft. If I publish an API, this version will have a snapshot. It's published now in version 1. But if I want to create a new draft version, I can just go create a new draft, and now I can navigate between the two versions. You can decommission the older versions. There's a set of interesting capabilities there. We can also use auditing. So you can specify non or basic auditing levels so that an IT admin can have access to how the APIs are being consumed, who are the users interacting with data. In the entities level, you can specify the columns available in the output. So for example, if I don't want the created by, created on, all these auditing fields to be available in the output, I can just untick them and they're not going to be available in the API. So let me go to the version 2. And now the order table doesn't have those fields anymore. This is a way to limit the attributes that users can have access to. There's a diagram functionality where you can interact with the entities exposed in the API and make sense of the data set that you're exposing the API. This is a way to see that all the entities you selected have a relationship to each other. The security capabilities, by default, all the APIs are read-only. You can also specify user groups to have access to the API. If you specify a user group and the user is not in the group, they get an unauthorized error when they request API.
A question.
And yes?
Right. This the one which you have opened, the cloud hub baker. Is it a Forge component?
It's Hubway is actually a product. There's a Forge. There's a link on Forge for you to get
Yes.
demo videos.
Right. So the current open web app, is it developed using Outsystems? No, right?
Yeah, it's built in Outsystems, but it's a product,
Uh,
and
okay.
it's what I mean by a product is it is commercialized as a product.
Okay. Okay.
There's a trial to the product available in you can get access to the Outsystems Forge, but I'm gonna share a link in a second as well, where you can try and you can try with sample apps, exactly the sample apps I just showed in the demo. You
All
can
right.
try it on on our environment to play around and learn the concepts. Okay.
Got it. Yes. Thanks.
And then, thank you. Thanks for the question. And then another functionality is the history. So all the changes made in the project are logged. So you can see who added entities, who changed attributes, who changed security rules. Everything is logged in the project. Easy capability to share the URLs of the API and some advanced functionalities. So for example, one that's quite important is it limits the output to 1,000 records by default. To avoid impacting in production environments, in runtime applications. But an admin can come and customize this limit, so they can decrease it if, for example, they want to restrict it to 10 records per tops, or even increase it. It depends on the use case. And then as a system admin, I can see all the logs here. So for example, the project we just interacted with is logged here, the also Bangalore, and I can see the URL that was requested, the source IP address, number of records, response size, response time. All the information is logged. And just quickly back, because I know we're on the top of the hour. I just wanted to show that that's what we try to increase with Hubway Connect. That was our intention in building this no-code functionality. We wanted to shrink or reduce the life cycle and the time it takes to have dashboards ready by cutting down the design, cutting down the build and the test steps in the process. And now we, of course, need to work on gathering requirements, but now we converted designing, building, and testing solutions into creating APIs in a no-code approach. So this is done using the Hubway solution, Hubway Connect solution. And it, as you guys saw, I created an API in a couple of seconds. And in a couple of minutes, I had a dashboard created in Power BI. So this is what we're aiming with the solution, while providing governance, security, performance, and scalability. This slide deck will be shared with everyone, including this picture I'm sharing at the moment. This is a bit of how the solution works. It's based on the builder component, which is the web application I just demonstrated. It runs on a source environment, so you can have the builder running on a pre-production or QA environment, and then have the APIs in runtime exposing the OData APIs. And the APIs can be used for a number of scenarios, as I just demonstrated. So in scenario one, in enterprise data staging, you would have a data staging solution, retrieving the data, storing it in a data repository, and then be used by data visualization or analytics tools. In an ad hoc reporting scenario, we have a lot of customers that use it for Excel direct connection to the APIs, normally to get some ad hoc reports, simpler reports from not big tables, and to extract data quickly. This has given most of our customers the ability to get access to that data instantaneously. So the moment we deploy a new version of the application, they can already analyze data, and with no need for coding in terms of reporting. So the big advantage here is our team has been focusing on what delivers more value to the business. We keep delivering features, whereas reporting, which is normally taken as a low value kind of development activity, it has been speeded up significantly. And also for interoperability, as I just showed in the demo with Postman, it can be used for API gateways to connect to the APIs and have client applications connected to it. This is, last but not least, this is an example of analytics pipeline or data pipeline we built for one of our customers. They used already a lot of these platforms in that data pipeline mechanism, including SAP and Salesforce. And for Outsystems, what we used to do before we had Hubway was we used to build manual synchronization mechanisms based on Excel extracts, which was pretty manual, error prone, prone to errors. It took time to have changes. Data structure to be adapted to that mechanism was a pain. So this was our very first client, and that's the use case we used to build Hubway for. And now all the applications we build for this customer are automatically connected to that data pipeline, which is pretty much based on the user ETL tool called AWS Glue. This company is an AWS shop, so they use a lot of AWS tools. They use AWS Glue to connect to the OData APIs. They drop the data in an AWS S3 bucket to handle unstructured data, historical changes, and then Snowflake, which is a very powerful data warehouse and data manipulation tool. It gets the data from Amazon S3 buckets and go through all the data transformation stages on that side. The big advantage of this is that data analysts work on this, data engineers, not software developers. When we shift this capability and these tasks to data engineers, the business see a lot of value. And then in the visualization layer, they use Tableau. So just as we use Microsoft Power BI in the demo, they use Tableau to build those rich visual dashboards. And that's it. That's what I would like to share and show to you guys. If you want to know more, we share this slide deck along with the demo assets as well. Just reach out to us if you want to know more information, if you want to get the slide deck, and also if you want to know more about the product, about Hubway Connect. This website you've seen, you can scan the QR code or type the URL. This website is a page where you can see all the information about the product, but you can also access the free trial. You can have free access to a trial on the cloud. No need to install anything on your environment. It's just running on our own cloud. So I invite you guys to have a look at the website, and please reach out to me. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm happy to help. Thank you, Shri. Over to you.
Thank you, Joe, for the wonderful topic. I hope it is helpful for all of us in the event. And I could see there were two questions from Chetan.
Yeah, I'm trying to read through them. Hubway Connect is used to create the APIs in the producer module, basically. Yeah, so Hubway Connect is a layer on top of the Outsystems environment that will expose data from the core modules in Outsystems. You can combine modules, entities from different modules in different projects. So within Hubway, you also have this concept of project, where you can, for example, group entities per business department, per business area, not necessarily per application module. So you can combine data entities from different modules in the same project, for example. Or you can even have multiple projects with the same entities, but with different data links. So for example, if in the order table, you don't want the sales team to see the total amount in the order table, you can create one project for sales and another project for finance. And then you can segregate attributes in different projects and then give permissions to different teams to see the data from different lenses. This is all quite flexible. Then Power BI consumes Hubway, Hubway consumes Hubway Connector, which exposes OS entities. Yeah, pretty much. So Power BI consumes the Hubway runtime component, which is running in the production environment, for example. The runtime component is pretty much an API component, whereas Hubway, the builder, which is the web application, it's also part of the Hubway Connect product. The builder is this web application that can run in a non-production environment, so that you can create the APIs, experiment with them, test them before you deploy them to production. Does it restrict only Power BI or any other technology that can consume? No, it's not restricted to Power BI. It's actually the way Hubway exposes data is through this protocol called OData. And the OData protocol is supported by a lot of different solutions in the market. But in the end of the day, it's just a REST API with a language on top, with a semantic on top. So in other terms, you can use any other consumer application. So for example, if you have a legacy app in .NET that needs to consume OData APIs exposed by Hubway, you can build your own .NET code to just invoke the REST APIs and manipulate the data with the OData query options. And will Hubway support multi-tenant applications as well? Yes, it does support multi-tenant apps. You get to choose as a user, you get to choose whether the API will expose the data, filtering by context. So if it will respect the user logging in when invoking the API, or whether you want the API to expose data across multiple tenants. This is up to the admin. The admin can select that, but yeah, it does support multi-tenant apps. Middleman for your Hubway connectors, middleman from your data in Outsystems to another tech file data. That's cool. Can be used in multiple scenarios. Exactly. Thanks for that, Adnan. I think you summarized it even better than I would do myself. All right. So look, thank you so much, guys. I'm really happy to be here. Proud to be connecting again with the community, and hit me up on LinkedIn. I love to be connected to the community around the world, and let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Joe. So while we jump into the session, Q&A session. So I'll share my screen. Hope my screen is visible. Is it visible? Just confirm on the chat. Okay, so yes, it is. So yeah, thank you all for attending, and thank you, Joe, for the wonderful event. And I hope this is very much helpful to all of us. And definitely, all of the participants' feedback matters to us for connecting the future events. So please scan the QR code and submit your feedback there. And I would wait for 2 minutes before starting the quiz. Can confirm on the chat it's submitted so that we can move to quiz. We have 1 minute more. Okay, so I hope everyone has submitted the feedback, and let's move on to the next part. So it is quiz time, and I'm going to tell you the rules before jumping to the quiz. So we will be having 3 questions, and 3 winners would get the SWACIT or the certification voucher based on the availability. And first participant who answers the question would get a swacket or a ocha. And the answer should be provided through the chat, and the first one who pings there would get a chance to win. Okay, so let's try it out with a sample question. So first, I'm going to put a sample question there. For that, there are no rewards, just to check if you guys have understood the rules. So the first question is, what is the latest version of Outsystems that we are using currently? So now the options are, yes. Okay, I could see many answers, and all are OS 11. Okay, so you can put in there the option number A, B, C, D, or the whole option itself. So it is up to you. And let's get into the real game now. And the next question will have a reward. So let's jump into the first question of the quiz, which would be, which type of chat is not available in OutSystem traditional but available in reactive? And the options are area chat, line chat, donut, and column. Oh, 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 oh. I could see from Madhva Reddy it is A, which is wrong. And let's see who has given the right answer. It is the right answer, by the way, is C, which is donut chat. And the winner is C. Yes, Chetan. Okay, the winner for the first question. And now, Chetan, you will not be eligible to answer the next two questions. Okay, let's give chance for others. So let's go for the next question. Are you all ready? Just to have a break in between the options, because I would get confused between the answers of the previous and the current. Okay, I'm getting yes, yes, yes. So next, go to the second question. Available events for OutSystems chats and reactive, and the options are on initialized, on data point click, both, and none. Okay, I got the answer from Madhava Reddy. It is C, and that is correct. So Madhava Reddy is our second winner of the event. Okay, and I appreciate who were all participating in the quiz, and even Aglata has given the correct answer, Adnan, and I could see all the right answers. Great. Okay, let's jump into the last question. And who wants Swacket and who wants Ocha? Just to know which is preferred by all the participants. Swackets or Ocha? Ocha. Okay. Okay. Great. Only Naglata wants the Swacket. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. The last question of the event. All the best for you guys. And the last question would be, which of the below is not a valid type of chat in OutSystems? And the options are I could see all the C from all the participants. And the correct answer is D, the scatter plot chat. And that's the correct answer given by Naglata. Congratulations for the winners. So the winners of the event is, first is Chetan, and then Madhava Reddy, and Naglata. Congratulations for all the winners, and thank you all for attending the event. And again, I would share the um, previous slide, where I would definitely need all of your feedback. And once you leave the feedback, you can leave the session. And thank you all for attending, and see you at the next event. Please do submit your feedback. Thank you all for attending. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Shri.
Thank you.
How you will communicate with us, Shri, for this? You are
Yeah,
yeah.
forgot to mention that for the winners. So you would get an email if we have a voucher, then it will be sent out to your email itself. And for the swag kits, it would be courier to your address. We would ask you for the address for the courier. I hope Madhava Reddy and Chetan is also on the call, so that
Yes.
you, yes, you could drop your email IDs over here for the,
We give
quick
our
connect.
official ID or personal ID, Shri.
Anything that preferred by you. So whichever you want to receive the communication, and in whichever you are most active.
Yeah.
Okay, got it from Madhava. And I hope everybody is registered for the one conference which is happening in Bangalore. And don't miss. Please do attend. We will have a great time. Got two emails from the winners. And yes, thank you. Thank you so much all for attending the event. If there are no queries, we will wind up the session over here. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you and happy weekend.
Happy weekend. Bye bye.
Thanks, all.